Good, happy Wednesday morning, January 5th, 2022. I'm Riley King. Welcome to this Wednesday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. It's time to rise and shine and get this Wednesday off to a good start, where we have a little bit of everything for you in this program. So sit back, relax, grab a good cup of coffee, and enjoy this Wednesday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Happy Hump Day, everyone. Let's get started now. First up, NBC correspondent details being stuck in traffic overnight due to winter storm. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
What will you design today? A big idea? A new opportunity? An inspired community? With Canva, you can. Start designing for free at canva.com.
We have the NBC correspondent Josh Letterman with us live he's in his car where he's been for the last 10 hours on I-95. Josh, good morning. Just walk us through. I know 10 hours is a long time, but what's it been like for you?
I think the word is dystopian, Hoda. It was a pretty strange experience. I was heading back to D.C. last night, and about 7:30, just north of Stafford, is where we really came to a standstill. And you said, okay, we're going to be delayed for a while. You understand that with the weather. And then once it started to get to 9, 10 p.m., and we were not moving at all, you start asking yourself, am I going to be here all night long? Am I going to sleep in my car? Should I turn my car off? We started to see a lot of drivers turning their cars off to conserve gas, people running out of food and water, kids and pets holed up for so many hours, people letting their pets out of the car to try to walk them on the street. And in the meantime, no signs of any emergency vehicles that we could see. Now, you don't know if that's because they can't get to where you are, but you really start to think if there was a medical emergency, someone that was out of gas and out of heat, it's 26 degrees, and there's no way that anybody can get to you in this situation.
So how are you getting along there, Josh? I see your little dog right behind you. You had mentioned you didn't have food and water for yourself. You do have some provisions for your dog. What are people doing just to survive the night?
Well, I saw a number of people taking whatever bowls or cups they had and taking snow in case that might eventually melt and make more water. But you think, people are starting to look at how much supplies do you happen to have in your car. I had a lot of gum, but not enough granola bars, which is what you really want in that situation. And people trying to scroll through Twitter, find what information they can get, maybe from local authorities or local radio. But really, it was just a mystery. How long is this going to last? I can't tell you, just in the last few minutes, we finally got movement on the northbound side of I-95. So that is moving again. I just pulled over to speak with you. Southbound 95 still completely shut down. There are miles and miles of people who have been backed up all night and are still waiting in their cars as we speak, trying to get moving on the highway.
Josh, you were nice to pull over and speak to us. I would have said, call you later. Put the pedal to the metal.
And we were just saying, if we were talking about families with kids in the car or elderly people and how much what a difficult road it must be. We wish you the best of luck. Keep us posted, okay, Josh?
Safe travels home.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Children are being hospitalized with COVID-19 at an alarming rate, data shows. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
In the week leading up to Christmas, pediatric COVID cases reached nearly 200,000. But troubling new numbers from the American Academy of Pediatrics show an even more dramatic statistic. The very next week, a 60% jump in cases of children getting COVID, more than 300,000.
I simply have never seen anything like what we're experiencing now.
According to an NBC tally, the case numbers are leading to record hospitalizations of children with COVID in 9 different states. And while some of those children are being treated for other conditions when they test positive, doctors say a significant number are getting serious cases of COVID.
COVID, in a very short period of time, has become one of the leading medical causes of death for children in this country. So I think it's about time that we stopped downplaying the significance of COVID for children.
The Omicron variant is even having an impact on the unborn. Holy Cross in Fort Lauderdale is temporarily shutting down its maternity ward because of a surge in COVID cases among the hospital's staff. At the Texas Children's Hospital, there were 0 pediatric cases when December began. Now there are 70.
Today's hospitalization numbers have surpassed our peak of patients during the recent Delta surge.
The problem, say health experts, low vaccination rates for young children.
We are beginning to vaccinate our 5 to 11-year-olds, but when you look at who's been in the hospital, it's actually those 5 to 11-year-olds who have not yet received the vaccine.
As the Omicron variant has surged in recent weeks, the FDA authorized Pfizer boosters for children ages 12 to 15 and third doses for those 5 to 11 with compromised immune systems. Some parents hopeful the extra dose of protection will help their kids stay in school.
I just would like it if everybody felt confident in the booster and all the kids got vaccinated, because then I think, I don't only want my kids to be safe.
Another semester of uncertainty for school children, with families facing difficult choices in the weeks ahead. Later today, President Biden will be meeting with his COVID response team to talk about resources and case numbers. Afterwards, he's expected to address the nation. Hoda?
All right, Stephanie Gosk for us. Stephanie, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Elizabeth Holmes found guilty on 4 of 11 fraud charges. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
Elizabeth Holmes, once celebrated as the youngest self-made female billionaire in the world, left court a convicted felon, clutching the hands of her parents and husband. Late Monday, a jury found her guilty of 4 fraud-related counts for conning some of her investors into believing her blood testing startup Theranos could perform hundreds of diagnostic tests for everything from cancer to HIV to pregnancy with just the prick of a finger. Some of the world's most powerful invested close to $1 billion in Holmes' company, including the family of former Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos. Prosecutors allege Holmes also duped patients who testified they received faulty blood test results, including one woman who said she wrongly was told she was miscarrying her baby. But the jury found Holmes not guilty on multiple counts of defrauding patients.
You all are part of something that is going to change our world. What higher purpose is there?
Her saga was the subject of documentaries, podcasts, and an upcoming Hulu series starring actress Amanda Seyfried as Holmes. The trial lasted for nearly 4 months. The prosecution repeatedly alleging, out of time and out of money, Elizabeth Holmes decided to lie. In her defense, Holmes shocked legal experts by taking the stand, arguing she'd act in good faith, alleging during a decade-long romantic relationship, she'd been abused by the company's COO, Ramesh Sunny Balwani, allegations he denies. This morning, the woman once hailed as the next Steve Jobs, now facing up to 20 years per guilty count behind bars.
It's a big deal for Silicon Valley because if fake it till you make it, I don't think they're going to be living by that anymore.
Legal experts say it's unlikely Holmes will receive the maximum sentence for her crimes. The jury was deadlocked on 3 of the 11 counts against her. The judge says he wants to deal with those counts before a sentencing date is set, and he allowed Holmes to remain out on bond until sentencing, which could be months away. In addition to jail time, she's also facing potential fines of $250,000 per count, plus restitution. Savannah?
All right, Erin McLaughlin, thank you very much.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump Jr. subpoenaed by New York Attorney General. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
What will you design today? A big idea? A new opportunity? An inspired community? With Canva, you can. Start designing for free at canva.com.
Overnight, the newest move from Donald Trump Jr. and Ivanka Trump, asking a judge to quash subpoenas against them, with both under new scrutiny now from New York's Attorney General Letitia James. She's issuing subpoenas for documents and testimony from the former president's children as part of a civil tax fraud investigation into the Trump Organization's business practices and whether the company inflated the value of assets for tax breaks and loans. The New York AG also wants to question the former president under oath. Mr. Trump's other son, Eric, has already been deposed in the case, meeting with investigators in October of 2020. The former president sued the New York Attorney General last month to try to shut down that civil investigation, accusing James of a political witch hunt. But James pledging to press ahead, tweeting, "Over 2 years of delay tactics won't stop our investigation because no one is above the law." The former president's children have played key roles in their father's business for decades. And when Mr. Trump became president, he installed Ivanka as a top White House advisor, turning over control of the Trump Organization to his sons.
My two sons, who are right here, Don and Eric, are going to be running the company.
Legal experts say the Trumps may have no choice but to comply.
I think filing this motion indicates that they're not going to be cooperative, that they're going to fight tooth and nail every chance they get. But I think ultimately a judge will order them to sit for the depositions.
Keep in mind, the New York Attorney General has also been assisting with a separate criminal, not civil, investigation into the former president's company. The Manhattan District Attorney, remember, charged the Trump Organization and its chief financial officer with tax fraud last year. Both have pleaded not guilty. Mr. Trump and his children have not been accused of any wrongdoing in that case. Craig?
Our senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson. Hallie, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. DHS issues warning ahead of first anniversary of Capitol riot. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Washington now and new security threats as we approach the anniversary of the January 6th insurrection. The Homeland Security Department is warning law enforcement to be on the alert, and our Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas has the latest.
Nearly 1 year after the violent assault on the Capitol,
they just breached the Capitol again.
This morning, a new warning from Homeland Security, alerting law enforcement around the nation that violent offenders will try to exploit the upcoming anniversary to promote or possibly commit violence.
It's extremely important for city and county police departments to obviously be aware of people that live in their community.
According to that new bulletin obtained by ABC News, the lone wolves most likely to act are those who adhere to ideologies associated with promoting the superiority of the white race, militia violent extremism, and conspiracy theories, including those related to QAnon. While the bulletin notes that no specific threat has been identified, the concern lies with the scores of angry and bitter extremists who believe the lie that the 2020 presidential race was stolen from former President Trump.
I think there's a lot of folks that in our country, regrettably, in my opinion, that if they have disagreements with someone else, political disagreements, then you're my enemy. And if you're my enemy, I can hurt you.
The Capitol Police Chief told me he would not hesitate to put up fencing or call the National Guard if new information came in. One reason law enforcement is not taking any chances is that they believe the sheer number of people who breached the Capitol, more than 800, is a reflection of sentiments out there in the country. And police say that lone wolves are the hardest to identify and stop, George.
They certainly are, Pierre. Thanks very much. Tune in to ABC News Live on Thursday. We're going to examine the attack on the Capitol 1 year later all day long.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we are going to switch gears now, and let's take a look at the weather across the United States for this Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everyone. As you can see in the blue here, you got some mixed precipitation, and then along this whole edge here, and over here in the green, and over here in the green, and over here in the green, you got rain. Also in the blue here, mixed precipitation. And then in the pink here, you got some freezing rain possible. In the white here, you got snow and snow up here as well. And then in that shaded area here, you got heavy snow possible. And then it's dry here and over here as well. And that is a look at the weather across the United States for this Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everyone, and happy hump day. And we are going to switch gears now. And let's take a look at tips on how to make dry January work. Let's take a look at that right now.
I'm taking the pledge to stay dry.
I'm packing up my alcohol for the month of January.
I love a good cocktail, but I'm putting my drinks away for the month of January.
So one of the reasons I've decided to go dry this January is because I want to push myself a little bit out of my comfort zone.
I'm participating in Dry January this month because in 2022, I hope to be the best version of myself.
A few of the people taking the Dry January Pledge this year, the annual challenge to give up alcohol for the first month of the year. Dr. Jen Ashton has done it for several years, doing it again. She's back right now with some tips. Give us your reaction to those just now.
I loved it. I mean, of course, in my house, I call it Dry January. You see what I did there? But I love, especially the one that says doing it as just a wellness challenge, a mental challenge. I love that.
And one of the little tips you have is...
Get it out of the eye line. We saw someone there with a suitcase. I think pouring it down the drain is a little excessive and wasteful. But yeah, lock it up. We have this nice locker here. You certainly don't need one in your house, but if you don't see it, you might not be thinking about it. Mine, personally, I didn't feel the need to get out of my eyesight, but everyone needs to find their own way. So whether it's locking it up, pouring it out, putting it under the cabinet, putting it in a bag or a closet, do what works for you, because no one knows what your challenge will be better than you do.
What are the keys to making this work?
I think the first one that I learned is actually recruiting a community, and nowhere better to do that than with our devices, right? Social media, do a video log, chart your progress, your feelings about doing this, the ups and downs, the little slip-ups. And again, this is not for sobriety or abstinence. This is no different than, a steps challenge. It just happens to be for alcohol consumption. And when you compare that to a community or your peer group, I think it can be really empowering and interesting. And again, the curiosity in self with this whole process, to me, is the interesting part of it.
4 days in. What's the toughest part, generally, in your experience?
I think being in situations where you are confronted with just how automatic and rote our alcohol consumption is in a social context. You sit down at your dinner table or you sit down with friends and immediately there's a cocktail in front of you or a glass of wine. It's so automatic that sometimes you actually will ask yourself, I don't even really want this, or I didn't even order this. And so that awareness, I think, is one of the most interesting parts. The physical and psychological benefits that you will see almost immediately are obviously
So you definitely see changes every year.
I see changes and I feel changes. And even now that we're just a few days in, to me, this is a dry month. So, it's not an option. I'm not even thinking about it, which, again, I find incredibly interesting. If you go at this with yourself as a science experiment, I think it is so much more interesting and people will learn so much. And again, it's not about perfection. It's really about the process.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel.
Okay, and there you go on that video. Good tips there. And we are going to switch gears now, and let's go into some entertainment news. And in entertainment news, Andy Cohen really regrets blasting Ryan Seacrest on NYE broadcast. Let's take a listen to that video from Access Hollywood.
And I really regret saying that. And I was just stupid and drunk and feeling it.
Andy Cohen rang in the new year with a regret. The 53-year-old co-hosted CNN's New Year's Eve Live from Times Square with Anderson Cooper on Friday and criticized the competing broadcast Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve.
On Monday, he admitted to regretting that moment while speaking on his show, Radio Andy.
The only thing that I regret saying, the only thing is that I slammed the ABC broadcast, and I really like Ryan Seacrest, and he's a great guy, and I really regret saying that, and I was just stupid and drunk and feeling it, and I was continuing the journey rant, and I just kept talking, and I shouldn't have, and I felt bad about that.
During CNN's broadcast on Friday, Andy said ABC's performers were a, quote, group of losers.
I just started our thought machine. Ryan Seacrest, group of losers that are performing behind us. I mean, with all due, if you've been watching ABC tonight, you've seen nothing. I'm sorry. My God.
He then went on to rant about the famous band Journey, saying that once original lead singer Steve Perry left, it was not the same. During his show, the TV personality also admitted that the headlines that came from that moment were a little misleading.
The Ryan Seacrest thing, the headline was what sucked. I thought in the moment you understood the context. You were just being kind of
exactly.
bitchy,
That's the problem. The headlines about Ryan Seacrest are all like, I trash Ryan Seacrest, and I'm like, I hope he hears the clip. You know what I mean?
That isn't the only rant Andy went on. During the end of the broadcast, he also went off about New York's former mayor, Bill de Blasio. On Saturday, the Bravo star admitted on Instagram that he had too much to drink on air. I was a hair overserved last night, but man, did I have fun. I hope you did too. Happy New Year, everybody, he wrote on Instagram.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this Wednesday edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.